since we are running a bit late, I will first ask the audience if there's any question for any of the panelists. Yes, in the back. Jessica.
Hey, Jessica Strombach, SCDC, Smart Energy Demand Coalition. Thank you very much for your interesting presentation. I just have a question, and maybe you guys can't answer it, but anyway, when we always speak of, depend on your neighbors to trade, don't try and do everything within your own country, let's work to have one internal market. I think everyone in this room agrees with that in principle. The issue I don't see being acknowledged is, of course, that European governments get tax money from their own generation, not their neighbor's generation, and many times they even are partial owners in a company. And also they have a tendency not to rely on their neighbors when it really comes down to it for security of supply issues. So with these two really serious demotivators, pushing them away from relying on a unified market, has anyone looked at it?
There are a couple of issues there, I think. Security of supply is obviously a matter very close to politicians' hearts. You would probably argue that the political need for security of supply is greater than the economic need, because politicians are frightened of customers getting cut off. That's the phrase we use. Now, if we have a properly working demand side, nobody gets cut off. They just choose not to buy anymore because it's got too expensive. So the politicians can go and worry about something else instead. So that is the long term to get the politicians out of these markets. We do have short-term problems with system operation where the national requirements feed down to national obligations on TSOs to solve their own problems before their neighbours, and that's another distortion that we'll have to live with for a while. Maybe ENSOE will have a control room and a pan-European license one day, but not in the next 5 years. So maybe strategic reserve actually is one of the least distorting measures as a temporary stopgap, because it gives a safe place for the politicians to play and go and get more or less security of supply in their own country without distorting the rest of the market while you're at it. So at least the energy market and the arbitrage of the energy will follow the system need. So I think it's probably a less damaging solution than the broad capacity payments that we're seeing rolled out. I say again as a transitional measure.
Just very quick on the ownership already of some of the generation company and the tax revenues. Well, on the ownership, it's probably we need to continue unbundling and unbundling of companies from the state, maybe, or so that may be an interest that would disappear with time. On the tax revenue, yeah, that's maybe a legitimate concern and problem, and we may not get out of it. On the ideal short-term solution, I'm not sure about Stephen's comments. This is still quite a very mandatory or very regulated view. I think some solutions oriented towards capacity markets may be more easy for the market to adapt to, and maybe easier also for foreign countries to participate in, or foreign operators to participate in a specific country's design. But for the moment, we've seen it's not the case. So there are plenty of criteria in the list that I showed you a few minutes ago that are definitely not fulfilled by those. So still, work on the market first before trying to find those solutions.
Any other question? If not, we will now move on with, first of all, I would like to thank all three panelists, Stephen, Marco, and Jerome.